What's going on, people? Today we're going to talk about what do you do if you come into a certain immediate influence wealth. Someone leaves you a house, someone leaves you money. What do you do with it? Because this is a big question that I'm starting to get that, hey, Glendon, I just came into X amount. What should I do? I'm going to give you an exercise that you should start doing to help you with this. When I was in the boarding house, I created a list of things I would do once I reached certain financial milestones. And once I got on this path, it got a little easy. Because the first thing that I wanted to do when I was at Rent a Crate, I wanted to have $5,000 in the bank at all times. That was one of my first goals. Got that done. In about 2 years, I went through my complete list because I had a thing like, what if I had $100,000 in the bank? What would I do? And the answer was start a business. So you've got to sit down with yourself and create this spreadsheet of what you would do once you reach a certain amount of money. Because currently, if I ever won the lottery and I got like, 300, 400, 500 million, I would buy commercial real estate. I would buy a major building. I would take every last penny, even if I had to run a note. Let's see, if you're in Atlanta, you know about the King and Queen building now here in Sandy Springs, which at one point was able to be bought for 580 million. A insurance company, or I believe a pension fund, bought this building because it's guaranteed income. It has a hotel in it. It has the King and Queen building, plus about 7 other buildings. So you're going to get consistent monthly rent. So that's what I would do. That is pretty much. I've gone through the whole thing of what would I do if I had $30,000. This is how I actually came off to, what would I do if I got $50,000? I would buy a BMW 540i. Did that. So you got to start sitting down and thinking, what would you do if you had this thing? One big thing that is it keeps popping up is this house thing. First of all, depending on where you are when this money comes in is pivotal. I was dealing with someone whose father had died and left her a nice inheritance. It was cash. It was bank accounts. It was a house. And she was like losing it because she had these attorneys that were just soaking her. And I came in as like, okay, 6 months after I got a hold of it, it ended because they were going to continue to keep it in probate and continue to charge these exorbitant fees, which were going to reduce the amount of money that she was going to get. And I was like, look, you need to have this very stern conversation because her father had died and he had some medical bills and those things had to be paid out of the money. So I was like, call up all the doctors and stuff and say like, hey, how much you need to be paid, cash money. She had access to money and go ahead and pay them and then close out the estate. And she did that, closed out the estate. I remember one retirement account that he had $380,000 in it. Another account, 220. She got the house which her father was trying to live in, and I was like, look, You got this piece of property that's paid off free and clear. Rent it out. And one of the situations is that when someone of means dies, the family goes nuts. The family, um, the parasites come out. People were to the house, they were taking furniture out. I mean, it was just crazy because when someone dies and they have something to leave to the folks behind, people lose their minds. I've seen this recently. My ex-wife's mother died, and I had to talk to the ones I'm friendly with because she got the money. I said, do this, and do this because they were trying to get her to use her inheritance to pay off the house. But her inheritance was left to her. The house was left to the family, so she would have been paying off the house to give to other people, which didn't really make any sense, and she didn't do it. Uh, Sit back and really game plan and steam this because, first of all, what you should do, where you should be, and we're going to make it clean so you can maximize that situation. Everyone needs to get the 5 checking account blueprint. Go ahead and get that because another thing that can happen is you can have this wonderful event of a financial windfall, but because you have not been managing your money correctly, you are in a situation where that new money has to go out to solve old bills because you didn't know how to handle your money. Get money management, the basics of finance and wealth development. This will help you manage your money to the best of your ability. In the case that you get a wonderful windfall, you will be able to level up. See, this is one of the things that happens when a person gets one of these windfalls. They don't level up. They actually stay on the same level. It's like, oh, wow, Big Mama died and left us, $100,000 in this house. So this is what the average person does. They take the 100K, pay off bills, then they sell a house and get that lump sum and go off and take a vacation. If you were a student of mine, you wouldn't be in that bad position. So the money that, it's like, wow, we got 100K and we got a house that's paid off free and clear. Plus our financial house is already together. We're already set. We're good to go. So essentially when these financial windfalls happen, you can level up versus staying the same. You can move to the next level. It's like, okay, we got 100K. We got this house. What we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of the money, fix up the house, and we're going to rent out the house. We have no intentions of ever selling it because that's cash flowing for whatever amount it will be. Like, say the house is paid off and you can rent it out for $1,500. That's $18,000 a year minus about 10% for taxes and stuff. So that's 15K a year for doing absolutely nothing. Then take this other 100K, convert that into another money producing asset. But if you are like most of America where you're already financially behind, this creates a problem for you to level up. I want you guys to level up. I want you guys to move to the next financial level. And you can't do that doing poor people stuff, like using credit as an extension of income. You're just not going to be able to do that. All right, let's see what we got in here. What? Let's see. What's up, 89 Dr. Funk? Leslie, Dante Trimble, what do you have coming in? What's up, Ben, Tyra, the knowledge? Herbert Scott, I love wargaming windfalls. It's an exercise that many people need to do. 89 Dr. Funk, exactly. Attorneys of money parasites. They were trying to bleed her dry. I came in there and I put an end to that because this this is going to happen to many of you. Many of you have parents who have assets that you don't even know about that they're going to leave to you. And if you're not managing the money that you make right now correctly, you're not going to be able to level up. You're just going to be able to stay on the same level. I want you to understand that. Um, let's get to how much money will Americans inherit? All right, because there's going to be the average American inherits the median inheritance was 69,000. Let's talk about wealth transfer because this is a big thing. There's a lot of people who watch this channel that this is going to happen. How to prepare heirs for the 68 trillion great wealth transfer. Baby boomers are set to pass to their children a mind-boggling 68 trillion, the biggest generational wealth transfer ever. Much of the wealth is held in individual retirement accounts. Any mistakes in the transfer of those funds can result in a big tax bite of the inheritance. By understanding the rules before acting, heirs of IRAs can plan in ways to avoid unnecessary taxes and assure continued tax-deferred growth. So, 68 trillion. That's what's happening right now. This is going on right now. You've got people who are part of this and they're going out because they haven't handled their money correctly. They're having to take that money to fix financial mistakes that they're currently making so they can't level up. Now, there's some people who are going to get so much money, it doesn't matter what they did. In the case of this chick I knew and I was helping out, she got collectively, after probate, $500,000 in a house. You know, he's stealing your money by living with you rent free. If he wants to live there, he needs to pay you market rate rent. And she had that conversation, and he got mad. He's like, "This is my daddy's house, but your daddy did not leave that house to you." I remember getting on the phone. I said, "He didn't leave it with you. He left it to her for some reason. I wonder why." And the reason was the dude didn't really have a relationship with his father. It's just once his father got sick and moved into the hospital, then he moved into the house to kind of look over the house while living rent free. And I was like, look, you know, if we need to start eviction proceedings, we can. You need a lease and you need to pay some money. And he chose to leave. And within about 6 weeks went in, you know, the house wasn't and kept up. He wasn't doing the right thing. Had to take some of that 500,000, fix up the house, put the renter in there. And that's what we did. Dante Trimble, 25 to 30K from your dad. Okay, that's a good start. What's up, trending business? Dave Wayne, what if your parents leave you cold hard cash? Even better. 200K. I mean, once again, If they leave you that kind of money, they should have left you with some skills on how to kind of get that money. Because if you're going to get 150 or the combination of a house and cash from your parents, that is setting you up to level up to the next level. If you're not currently in financial duress, if your financial house is not on fire, that is typically what happens, is because people are living for today and they're not really looking at it. You know what you can do. Dante Trimble, that is I want you to think about it. Like if your current, the key is, this is the key. Your current financial house must be set up. 25 to 30K can turn into $1 million if you know what to do with it. It is a fundamental head start. This is, once again, you need to go ahead and get the money management, basics, finance, and wealth development, so you can be in a solid financial position before you get this money. Because the thing is, you get this money and you're in a bad financial position, that's going to be some problems. That's going to create a situation that you can't build anything on. Like I said, I used to play this game. And, it is like, if I were to inherit 10 million, what would I do? I would take half and buy commercial real estate. And the other half, I would ball out. If I got, 20 million, what would I do? If I got 30 million, what would I do? And, this is just an exercise in fantasy because I don't play the lottery. So that's just not going to happen from a lottery proceed. But, if I were to come into some money, there's already a predetermined plan on what to do with it. And since I'm in a financially stable position, that new money that comes in will not have to go out and solve old problems. This is the thing that kills people. All right, Byron, closing a 12 county deal in 3 weeks. Awesome. Tim A, my parents were not great with money. I got my money management skills from people I met in Arizona. All right, Dante, I don't have any debt. Trending business. My father died, had a $500,000 all-in business. His wife kept the death certificate and cut us completely out. 10 kids, we got nothing. Watch out for step parents. Whoa, that's another big issue. If your father or mother has been divorced from your biological father or mother, and there is a step parent, due to law, the surviving spouse has a lot of power. And the only thing that's going to circumvent that power is if the person who died had a will and he had an updated will. And this is something that many people don't do, because I heard of a situation where dad got him a little sugar baby, and the sugar baby wiped out all his kids, and nobody got nothing, and she got everything. And she'd been married to this man for 4 years. The importance of proper estate planning. If you want to leave your kids some stuff, you need to have your estate set up. The situation with my kid, if I had died during a heart attack, she would have inherited the company because she already owns it. And this is a way to skip probate and estate taxes and stuff. But that's what happened to Easy E kids. See, when people have money and they die, the people left behind are in grief And often they go crazy because the person I was helping, she had family members she didn't even know who were family members calling her. It's like, hey, Ed said he was going to do X, Y, and Z for me. I hope you continue to keep that promise. Money changes everything, but you need to have a plan. And just like today is Saturday, sit down, write up what you would do if you got X amount of money. And some of you already know what you're going to get. I've known people, I've dated chicks who knew that their parents were leaving them everything. They knew they were going to be taken care of. Eric Williams, the key as a kid is you have to have a life insurance policy on the parents. The city and state will get the death certificate for you. Trust my family learned that lesson. I know a girl that's very interesting because I was going to get to that. She went out and she got an insurance policy on her father and her mother, and she paid the premium. She went ahead because see, you can go out and get an insurance policy on anybody, and she paid the premium. And her father, he suffered a cancer situation where he died, and she got $500,000, all because she put that policy in play years before his death. And then because they didn't really have anything. Duke Shadows, I'm a young guy and really want to learn about whole life insurance. It's more expensive. Here's the thing. You don't really need to learn about whole life insurance. What you need to do is start a side hustle to get your money up. These whole exotic whole life policies and stuff, they are designed for financially sophisticated people with assets. As a young person with no assets, that could be the wrong way for you to go. Start a side business, get you some money. Duke Shadows, I don't trust salesmen because their interest is profiting off your policy. That's how the game is played. What's up, James Lewis? One of the things that you got to do, proper estate planning includes insurance, but of this $68 million transfer, you got people who are going to get millions. They're going to get millions once their parents pass on. Some of those people are watching this channel. And this is why some of these folks just aren't really pressed, because they know that once mom and dad kick off, they're going to get some money. I think that's the wrong way to look at it. I remember a situation with my family. My grandmother owned the house free and clear. And my mother wanted my grandmother to sign the house over in her name. And my grandmother would never do it because my mother had a habit of losing stuff or getting in financial trouble. So my grandmother died, and then the property became what's called hair property. So instead of my grandmother owning the house, 9 people owned the house, including my mother. There was 9 people who had an interest in this house. What happened was the property taxes got delinquent. My Uncle James ended up paying the property taxes and getting the whole house by himself. Then the house actually burnt down, and the property was sold to the church so they could turn it into a parking lot because there was a church in front of the house. And it wasn't a lot of money. The personal things that get into this are insane. The truth be told, difference between whole life insurance versus universal life insurance. Term life, whole life and universal life are kind of the same thing. Should I buy a 702 plan? Once again, let's have a little conversation. You know that adjustable rate mortgages were not designed for average people. These five, these three one arms, these 3 year arms, these 5 year arms, they were not designed for the normal person, but they got sold to the normal person without explanation of what's going to happen. These plans were designed for folks who got bonuses, for people who had good planning, who knew that, oh, we selling a house before the 5 years. We're only going to be here 4 years and then we sell it. So these sophisticated financial products that many people are trying to get into is it creates a situation where you have people who are trying to attempt to do stuff without a firm understanding of what they're getting into. A 702 plan isn't even really a retirement policy. This was just some formal insurance stuff. But just like the adjustable rate mortgage, these mortgages were not designed for average people. They were designed for people who were financially savvy. And this is why a lot of them went bad. This is what you should do. You should start a side business and turn that into a perpetual business. You're 22, you start it now. Let's say it takes 15 years to get to a point where it runs itself. You don't have to do anything. So you're 22, you're 37 with a business that's throwing off cash. The name of the game is something that throws off cash. Erica and her investment club, they have these 8 trucks. These 8 trucks on the road running off. Every month, every week, they throw off cash. That's the thing you want to have. You want to have something that throws off cash, not some of these exotic, like annuity. If you had 250K today and you were to go out and buy a 250K annuity, that could be your retirement plan. But see, you need to have the $250,000 today and the ability to not need that money for 15 to 20 years. And at that point, because what the insurance company is going to do is take that money and they're going to invest it and turn it into millions. See, this is how the game is played. And once again, because everybody's so cash poor, they don't have any money, they can't play these games. They don't understand because they don't have no money. Everybody's trying to use OPM, other people's money, when you need to have some of your own money. Duke Shadows, I'm trying to get a side hustle up in marketing too, just looking at different financial vehicles that pay off in the future. All right. Everybody right now, if you're a young person, the best life insurance policy for you is a term life insurance policy. The younger you are, the cheaper it's going to be. I mean, you could probably get $500,000 in life insurance for like $12 a month. You get into these universal and whole life stuff, you're going to be paying a few $100s a month. And if you don't, they can be very complicated. Very complicated. Steve Jameson, when I talk about estate planning with my mother, she said she never knew a dead person who hasn't gotten buried. Drives me crazy. Well, a lot of them don't want to look at it because it's an act of finality. You know, the fat lady singing. It's about to be on one. You got to understand that the average person is nowhere near financially literate. And if you consider yourself financially literate and you don't know how to make money without a job, at least a G a month, I'm going to say you're not financially literate. because the process of how to generate capital is a very important part of financial literacy. You see all of these guys, the guys on Wall Street, the hedge fund managers, they all know how to make money. They know how to make money. That's one of the first steps into financial literacy, is the ability to generate income. If you cannot generate income on the side, or is your prime principal income, you're not financially literate. You may have somewhat of a financial education. You may know about 401ks, you may know about RAs, you may know about the stock market, but unless you're able to create money from your own willpower, you're not financially literate. Well, typically, this is something that happens to people as they get older. There's a tendency to dial it back and not to become worried about a lot of stuff. Ben the bartender, folks get emotional when dealing with the death of a loved one, which is understandable. They end up making poor decisions, which make them worse off when the smoke clears. Typically, and then you have a lot of crazy stuff. I knew this girl I was dating, and this was happened before I came on the scene. Her father had died. Her father had an estate of about $4 million, and she was just shocked. Because she was assigned to be the executive of the estate, and she got so beat up by people coming after her. She's like, her stepmom, her ex-stepmom, because her father had been married 4 times, she came and took the furniture out the house. She said, I bought it. Well, we got this furniture and I like it. So she came and just took the furniture out the house after this man had died. He did not have a current wife. She was just breaking down the craziness. He had a car collection. His brother just came over and took the cars. Car collection was worth about $500,000. He just took them. He's like, well, he told me. And see, he also had a will that did not say that she could take the furniture, that did not say his brother had the car collection. The brother just assumed or hoped or went with this. And typically, a family will take allowances because, we family. It gets very crazy. This is why you got to have a will. Relentless. You are brilliant. I own a bed and breakfast here in ATL. To meet with you, become a client. Yeah, we'll be setting up some stuff about that next week. Relentless. Just be looking up for that. Because essentially, there are more good days than bad unless you just slept rock. Your life is a calamity. And do what you're doing on these good days, because all of these mental games that I played with myself, like, what will I do when I get X amount of money? I got the money and I executed my plan, because typically the average person isn't accustomed to sitting on money. It's part of the American way. The average person is not used to having money. The average person isn't used to having 10, 15, 20, 100K, 200K, 300K in the bank. They will freak out. Like, if you had 200K in the bank, and, let's talk about that. How long should you leave that kind of money in the bank? Max 2 years, because then you start to have the erosion of your money through inflation. So you can't leave it sitting in the bank forever. But I feel that you need to build up, everyone needs $10,000 in the bank. Everyone. And you can leave that in there forever, because that's for emergencies. That's not for investments. This goes back to the 5 checking account blueprint. This goes back to that. See, the allocation of money into desired said checking accounts for specific purposes in the future is how you can win this money game. This is how you can level up. There's going to be many people who are going to get some money from mom and dad that will enable them to level up and transform their lives if they are prepared to receive this money. And typically, parents don't like to talk about this stuff with their kids. And, just depending upon how the relationship is. But go ahead and get Money Management, the Basics of Finance and Wealth Development. Go ahead and grab that today to set you up for the future. All right, go make that money, Davita. Relentless, thank you for the $2 super chat. You want to get in a position where you're accustomed to having money. And it's a transformation if you grow up in a family where you receive bad money management lessons. Uh, One of my business partner's sister started investing when she was 20 something. And I remember at the dinner we're talking, and she had more money, even though her husband started investing later. Because this is the thing. You need to start putting money in the market because it's a long-term game, 16, 17, 18. That's when you need to start putting money in the market. But typically the average person doesn't start really getting serious about that until their mid-30s, which gives them 30 years. But if you took $1,000 and put it in the market when you were 16, that can be more money. I mean, seriously. No one tells you this. Let's see. Investment calculator. Let's do this. So you put so let's see, you get 56 years to accumulate. So if you started at 16 and you put $1,000 a year away, just 1,000 with a rate of return of 7%, you would have 2.5 million. All right. So let's go ahead and do this. 35 years, and you putting in 5,000. That's what you would have to do to get the same money that if you put in 1,000. And once again, this is $1,000 a year. Less than $100 per month. So if you could start when you're young, that $1,000 away, 56, 16. Good Lord, if you could put 5,000 away, you would have 12 million. See, the trick is with investing is the earlier you start, the better, but no one tells you this. And one of the things that I'm seeing with a lot of these kids who are starting Shopify stores, who are learning Facebook marketing, that they are a decade ahead of their peers. They're moving out of the family house at 18, moving into their own apartment. They're running businesses. And some of them are starting to invest. I forget this one guy, but his goal is to buy a house cash every year, and he's 22, and he has 2 houses. So when he's 30 something, he's going to have 12 houses paid off. So the game is changing. But if you're going to play the stock market game, as an investor, you need to start investing very soon. Byron Randall, do businesses need an emergency account? Absolutely, yes. I mean, once again, so in your estate planning, you need to have a will, or you need to make preparations for the transfer. Because the reason that, my daughter owns the company, so there's not going to be any taxes, there's not going to be any transfer fees, there's not going to be any probate, and this is how I set it up. So a big part of this is future planning. When everything's good, the sky is calm, then nothing's going on, no one's sick. This is the time to do this, because the minute that you get sick or you just die, it's too late, or it's extremely stressful. Do you want to think about how you're going to divvy up your assets when you have stage 4 cancer? That's a lot for a person to absorb. This is why you need to do this now. This is the things you need to set up. Xavier France, can you set up one for your kids and invest $1,000 a year? Yes, you absolutely can. Set that up. Teach your kids to keep it going, because once again, kids have a long time for money to grow. And this is one of the things that you should do when they're very young. Typically, everyone's worried about college, but they're not really worried about their life, because, if a lot of these parents took the college money and put that in the life fund and kept investing, the kid would have more money than what a college degree would provide. So, definitely. But this weekend, I want you guys to sit down and write out, what would you do if you got X amount of money? I played the game up to about 2 million, and then I achieved those goals. And now the game is, if I get one of these mega situations where I play, if I play the lottery, I don't, and I won like 500 million, it would go all into commercial real estate, every dime, because I would buy Class A commercial, real estate, which is the best real estate in any city. It's usually in a popular area of downtown. Like, everything in Manhattan is Class A. And I would go ahead and spend that money, because if you spent, I think, let's see, let's go ahead and try to do this. Rent on the Twin Towers. All right. I forget what they're called. Twin Towers, Atlanta. That is not it. Here we are. These are the Twin Towers. The King and Queen building. Let me go back. King and Queen building, Atlanta. Concourse, that's what it is. Building phases between 1984 and 1991. The concourse at Landmark Center is a real estate development in Metro Atlanta's perimeter business district in the city of Sandy Springs. It's a 70-acre planned community with 234 office towers and several low-rise office. So let's see. Concourse. Concourse at Landmark rent. So I'm thinking that this is getting probably 7 to 8 million a month in rent, if not more. It could be getting 30 million a month in rent. So if I got, I don't know if it's still 500,000. The price could be a billion. But what I would do is I would take all the money and I would get the best Class A property that I could afford. If I had to, like say I had 500 million and they wanted 600 million, I would shoot for the best deal, but I would float that 100 million because the rents can easily pay it. And we're talking about millions of dollars of rent per month. So at that point, I mean, millions of dollars of rent instantly, and you got the building all paid off or almost paid off. That's money you can put in your pocket and spend any way you want. Millions per month. I remember what got me on this path, and this is why you need to do a lot of stuff because of exposure. Peachtree Center in downtown Atlanta. We were moving an insurance company in there, and I was there one night at 10 p.m. on the install because we could only install at night. And this guy comes up, his name's Richard Bowers, and he extends his hand. He's like, "Hi, I'm Richard Bauer. I own this building." If that was not a baller move, hi, I own this building, this collection of buildings. That's baller. I want that in my life. Because it's pivotal that you have a plan for the money before you get it. Typically, if you won the lottery or you had a great inheritance, the typical advice would be able to get the money and sit on it for 6 months. Don't spend it. So you could take this 6 months and figure out what you're going to do with the money. But if you go ahead and do that now, you don't have to sit on it 6 months. It's like, and also talk to your parents openly and frankly. It's like, preface it like this, like, hey, I've been watching this guy on YouTube named Glenn Cameron. He talks about money. And I just want to know, where do I fit into your estate planning? It's like, I don't want you to die or anything. I don't want you to kick off. I want you here as long as possible. But if you've made provisions, I need to know. It's a very uncomfortable subject to talk about because it involves the death of people and when they're gonna die, and you need to have this talk with your parents. And then some parents already know that their kids are just waiting on them to die so they can get the house. I remember this old lady told me, she's like, yeah, she's just waiting on us to die so she can get the house. And eventually in that situation, the daughter died before the parents. Anthony Montgomery, I plan to have 100K cash tucked away before I start a family. I've seen the troubles of not having when you start a family. Struggle love is not cool. Nope, I don't believe in the struggle love. The struggle love is. I got a video about that on another channel. Essentially, I believe that every man and woman should get their stuff together before they get into a serious relationship. And this requires people to be adults. I mean, I know this one chick who is financially horrible. She's very irresponsible. And I had to make a decision because I met her when she was married. We had a relationship. And I liked the married chick much better than the single chick because the single chick was a walking financial disaster. I mean, talking about I had to put checks in the bank before a certain time. Her car was repossessed. After she got divorced, she went on this downward spiral financially and emotionally and personally. That was just like, you're nothing but a liability because she never wanted to do things the right way. She always had some extracurricular way of trying to do it. And I had to let that go because she wouldn't have dragged me down because I wouldn't have let it got that far, but she would have been a very expensive thing to have in my life. Extremely expensive. Relentless. If the development is profitable, why would they've been selling it? Um, Frequently, they change. People sell for various reasons. They may want to shift up their portfolio. They may need cash. Let me see. Concourse. Who owns? Because at one point it was for sale. Who owns Concourse? And typically on these type of developments, it's institutions that own them. It's very rare that an individual owns something like this. Let's see. Doesn't say who owns this. Management is Region Partners. I don't know if they own it because typically this is how it works for commercial real estate, that there will be a property management company because it's just too much for one person to try to. I mean, it would be insanity of one person trying to keep up with this because there's going to be calls and situations every day. So you're going to need a full-time management company that's going to probably get 5 to 10% of the receipts as a management fee. But the last time this was for sale, and this was many years ago, um, let's see, owners. I wouldn't be surprised because typically insurance company, pension funds, um, let's see, celebrated for, I said it saw something about new ownership. The new corporate ownership. I don't know what year. So they're doing some upgrade. So Regent Partners. Don't know who owns it. Oh, leased and managed by Regent Partners, owned by BLT Building and Land Technology. BLT. This is who owns it. Building and Land Technology. They do everything. They do commercial, residential, They do development, that's raw land. And this is their stuff. It's very interesting. So that's who owns it. Very rare that a person will own something like that. So essentially, they bought. When did BLT buy Concourse? That didn't bring it up. But this is one of the games I learned from my exposure as a salesperson to there was something different because Peachtree Center, it's got buildings on both sides of Peachtree and it's got a indoor mall. And this is the SunTrust building. Good Lord, I guess that's the BT&T building now because BT&T bought SunTrust. But they own this, and Richard Bauer's company managed it because it was funny how this happens. Later on, I found out that Richard Bauer's company only owned 5%, and this other stuff was owned by some other people. There's a lot of ways that these deals go down. But this just mints money every day. Every day it's making money. So that's where I would go. And I'm working on building out some more media companies. But the thing is, with a media company, it doesn't take money to build out a media company. It takes content. The more content that you have, selling of their portfolios. Like my landlord, he had 30 buildings. He didn't sell them. He put them in a trust fund for his kids. The real 100 question: I use my cars as rentals for my business, but they're in my name, not the LLC. You need to have an operating agreement classifying those cars working under your company. And yes, you should be paying the expenses. Like, here's the thing. Typically, the Internal Revenue Service is only going to allow you to do one of two things. If you want to write off that car, it must fit their classifications. Go a Google search and put up, a car for your business. Unless it's a lease, and if it's a lease for your business, you can write off 100%. Or you can take the mileage. You can't get everything. You can only get one of those things. You get the appreciation and stuff, or you can get the mileage. And once again, if you're going to have a company vehicle, one of the ways that you can get around that is to buy the vehicle in the name of the company. You got to stop. You got to get away from doing stuff in your name. You want as much stuff as possible in the company name. You don't want to own nothing. You just want to manage a lot. And that is a big transformation that many people have to make because I own this. I'm the man. I'm the woman. When you can be a manager and get so much more out of it on the coming and going. What's up, Christian? So one of the things that you have to do is start to think as a owner or a manager and stop thinking like an employee. An employee, everything's in my name. This is my car. This is my house. This is my jet. Guarantee you, Grant Cardone's check ain't in Grant Cardone's name. It's in his company's name. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. Company cars in the company name. And you know, with company cars, the Internal Revenue Service that goes by weight or certain things. But this is why the corporate lease is such a powerful thing. You know, you can drive yourself a nice car, pay the government taxes. What you gonna do? Ain't that really hard? Ain't really that hard when you think about it. All right. No, I don't have any estate planning courses. The topic came up because of people inheriting houses, and they want to sell the house to get that lump sum to probably do something personal. You got to start thinking, I'm going to do this corporate. I'm going to take this money and I'm going to increase my wealth building position. Many people are looking for creature comforts to get a nice new car, take a vacation. That's typically what this lump sum money goes to. Doesn't go into anything that's going to get another asset. So we will be talking about this. All right, that's all I got for now. I will see you guys later. Have a good one.